It's just a public service announcement. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho. H to the O.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? We got the NFL draft season upon us, the most exciting time of the year for NFL fans. And this is one of the best quarterback classes we've ever seen. I mean, I sent out a tweet on my personal account that this is going to be the first year where 5 quarterbacks are drafted in the top 10, and I'm sticking to that take. I think this is one of the most talented classes we've ever seen. And while many mock drafts have 3 or 4 guys in the top 10 this year, with all the teams that have uncertain futures at the most important position in sports, this 2021 draft class could go down as one of the most important in the game. So when I get to my top 5 list, it's going to be interesting, but let me hear Brandon's top 5 list. How are you going to rank these guys when it's all said and done? Who are going to be the top 5 quarterbacks in this coveted draft class?
So obviously it's been a tumultuous year because a lot of people have had to deal with COVID. It's cut down some people's season, and some people like Trey Lance haven't even had a season. He played 1 game in the spring, and that's it. And that's actually who I'm coming in with number 5, Trey Lance. Trey Lance had a great year in 2019. I think he threw for 42 touchdowns and 0 interceptions at North Dakota State. You can see it on film. You can see his ability to run, his ability to improvise, and he's making plays every single chance he has the ability to. And we saw in his pro day actually a couple days ago that he has a rocket for an arm. He can make the NFL caliber throws, and he has the ability to do everything that you need in a franchise quarterback. But just the fact that he did not play this year, and he played against some lower competition in the FCS, even though he played at the best FCS school hand in hand with James Madison University, I still just got to hold it against him that he's missing a year out, and a little bit of the lack in competition holds him in at number 5. But he has the ability to run and has a rocket for an arm. At number 4, I'm going to go with Mack Jones. I think Mack Jones is really going to be a great quarterback, but my problem with Mack Jones is he can't really run, so he really has to be in a prototypical NFL system. So he can't really be a great spread quarterback, and obviously he can't really run, so you don't really want him going out the pocket a lot and doing all that extra stuff. But he's a smart quarterback that makes limited mistakes, but he has had some great receivers at Alabama, probably the greatest receiving tandem trio that we've ever seen, maybe in college football history. So we have to see Mack Jones potentially have a step back in some of the receivers that he has on the field, and potentially a system that might not fit him perfectly. So Mack Jones just needs to go to the right system and the right team to really tap into his max potential. And number 3 and number 2 were really hard for me. But number 3, I'm coming in with Justin Fields. I love Justin Fields as a quarterback prospect, especially when we saw him 2 years ago in his first year at Ohio State after transferring from Georgia. He was an electric player that did everything that you wanted to see in a quarterback. I mean, he has great size. He's about 6'5". I don't know his actual measurables, but he's about 6'5", probably about 235. He's by far the biggest and strongest quarterback in this class. But I do think he's soft at the same time. You saw Justin Fields get nicked up and go through a bunch of injuries, and every time you could just see it on his face, and he just didn't play well in those type of games. So he's about to go against some NFL caliber players, and for him to kind of show some tendencies of being soft kind of makes me take a little step against him. But I really like Justin Fields as a quarterback prospect. I think the difference between Justin Fields now and 5 years is going to be night and day. So I think that's what makes him the ability to be number 2, but I'm going to hold him in at number 3. And Zack Wilson. Zack Wilson's number 2. I think Zack Wilson is one of the most hypest quarterbacks you can watch in this draft. Please go back and watch the film. He's one of the most poised quarterbacks in the pocket, and he always throws the ball where his receivers can get a chance. And some people try to knock the schedule or the teams that BYU plays, but every year BYU plays ranked teams. Even though they're not in the conference, they're an independent school, but they play teams like Notre Dame and played Tennessee a couple years ago, who isn't great, but they play those FBS teams that are in good conferences. And Zack Wilson shines in every single one of those games. He's a savvy player that can run really well. He's a deceptively really great runner. He does great subtle moves, kind of like Patrick Mahomes. So he's just a guy that can get out the pocket. He's so versatile that he will fit in any system. Any system Zack Wilson could be a good quarterback in, and that's why he's number 2 in shooting up draft boards. And obviously, number 1, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is a can't-miss prospect. I mean, he sits 220. He looks like the quarterback that NFL draft analysts salivate over. He's built like Justin Herbert, and I think he's going to have a Justin Herbert type first year in the career. That's kind of my comparison for him. It's Justin Herbert. He can run like Justin Herbert, He could throw like Justin Herbert. He has the arm strength and ability of Justin Herbert, but even more enhanced. But he can also run like Daniel Jones at the same time. He's a can't-miss quarterback prospect. He can make every single throw. He's done it in the biggest games possible in college football. He's the best quarterback prospect that we've seen since Andrew Luck, and I think he's a better quarterback prospect than Andrew Luck. But that's hard to say because Andrew Luck obviously dealt with a lot of injuries in his career. So at number 5, I'm going Trey Lance. Number 4, Mack Jones at Alabama. Number 3, I'm going Justin Fields at Ohio State. Number 2, Zack Wilson. And number 1, Trevor Lawrence. Rob, who you got, man?
All right, yeah. So when I get into my top 5, this is no slight on any of them because they're all top 10 talents in my eyes, and this class especially with the potential to be perennial Pro Bowl quarterback. I think all 5 of these guys have that potential to change a franchise, take them to the playoffs year in and year out if they go to the right team with the right system, weapons, and O-line, the 3 things that quarterbacks need to be successful. So without further ado, my list is actually a little different than what you see out there. I feel like yours was more toward what people are saying, so you're obviously doing your scouting, listening to what people are saying, which I am too. Just I also watched some film myself, and just what I saw from Justin Fields, I don't think really impressed me as much as I'm seeing from other outside sources. I completely agree with what you're saying with the potential that he has to be a completely different player in 5 years, but from what he showed on film outside of that Clemson game, really wasn't that great when he played Northwestern, when he played Alabama in the championship, Northwestern in the Big Ten championship. There was a lot of plays he left on the field, and as you touched on, he's come off as soft or as injury prone, and it just reminds me kind of RG3 as a type of player who's mobile. It's not about if he gets injured, he's going to get injured, and it's about how he's going to be able to play through those injuries or while recovering from those injuries. And we've seen not much promise from him in those situations, so it's hard to predict he will be successful against bigger, faster, stronger guys at the next level. Then getting into number 4, the FCS prodigy, maybe the most hyped up FCS quarterback ever if he had this last season. That's what really put Wentz above him. The fact that Wentz did have that senior season, he was able to win another championship. Trey Lance was pretty much robbed of that opportunity, but he played his best when it mattered most. He had a great championship performance against JMU, the 2 best teams in the FCS. He has the size, he has the arm, A-plus physical traits. The FCS competition is a concern, but we did see Wentz find success early despite the large jump in competition, and I think most people agree Trey Lance has a higher ceiling than Wentz did because of his physical traits, his ability to make all the throws. Just need to see the consistency there. Him, probably more than any of these 5 guys, is going to be reliant on the right system, the right weapons, and O-line in front of him. Then at number 3, I have the national champion, Mack Jones. I think he's the most undervalued prospect in this class. If you look at what he's done on tape, his ability to consistently deliver accurate throws, I think it should make him a top 5 pick, no question. Obviously, this class is stacked with quarterbacks, but in most years, it just reminds me of Deshaun Watson, a guy who won a national championship. Then for some reason, scouts found a reason to not make him a top 10 pick, and guess what? He made sure that he was going to be a top player in the league. Does he have the physical traits Watson does? Absolutely not. But his ability to thrive in the pocket is similar to Matt Ryan, and I think he can carve up defenses under center and just brings a winning pedigree to a franchise that will likely need it at the top of the draft. So I think Mack Jones is a great prospect to take at number 3. And then at number 2, B touched on it, the guy's electric, Zack Wilson. I mean, he's getting all these kinds of comparisons. I won't throw Mahomes out there or Rodgers, which you've seen some analysts say, but you can see the kind of plays that he makes in and out of the pocket, and you do see why those exist. I think Baker Mayfield might be a better comp for him as someone who might have a shaky first few years, but could end up exploding and leading a dynamic offense to title contention every year. The ceiling that he has, he just makes it look easy. So he's a guy who should be at number 2 for me. And then number 1, it's everyone's number 1, is Trevor Lawrence. Guy's an absolute stud. Number 1 prospect in the class. Number 1 prospect of the 2020s. Number 1 prospect maybe ever. He's up there with anyone. Won a national championship as a true freshman. I believe he's the only player to ever do that. has what was his record, like 39-2, something like that. So the guy doesn't lose. There's a reason he doesn't lose. Did he have a stacked offense? He did. Did Joe Burrow have a stacked offense? He did too. So can't really decrease a guy's prospect potential because of having talent around him, because he made that talent better and he made the whole team better and he led them to championship contention year in and year out. So he's obviously the number one prospect. He's going to be in Jacksonville, and it'll be very interesting to see how him and Urban Meyer are able to potentially turn that franchise around. So there's your top 5 quarterbacks. You got it from B. You got it from me. Let's hear what you think. Let us know.
Yeah, and like Rob said, it's not a knack on any of these quarterbacks. All 5 of these quarterbacks could potentially be top 10 players when it comes to 5, 10, 15 years down the road. All of them are electric in their own way and can really make some great plays, whether it's with their feet or with their arm. So we'll see what they're about.
So lock it in. That's our take for the day, and you can find all pro sports takes on prosportsoutlook.com, or even better, if you're already subscribed to Pro Sports Outlook's YouTube channel.
And that wraps up this episode of Pro Sports Takes. And remember, we encourage everyone to go ahead and leave comments about the player or even the team you want us to discuss. Tweet us at PSO_sports or simply use the hashtag ProSportsTakes. And we'll continue to monitor what's hot so we can give it a spot on our future show.
So we'll see you next time.
Until next time.